Hello everybody. Today I wanted to introduce you to a rice dish from our website, and I picked a dish that we call Shahjehani Pilao. And some of you will know that Shah Jahan was one of the Mughal emperors in way gone days of India, and he loved his cuisine. Apart from the harem full of women, he loved his food. And I can just imagine if he didn't like this dish, the chef would have had no head by the end of the day. So I'm hoping that you'll agree with me and that you will love the dish. It's just a dish of rice, chicken, and it's the way it's presented towards the end that might be a bit different from what you're used to. And I really hope you'll enjoy making it and eating it. So for the first stage now, we're going to make stock with the chicken. And on my website, I've written it kind of for my local UK population. So it's boneless chicken I've used. But today I'm going to use boned chicken for the recipe, so I get the stock out of the bones. So we'll need salt. I will measure out a teaspoon out of this, I promise you. 4 ounces of sliced onion. I am going to add cloves of garlic, but these are optional. And then I have the measured amount of 1.5 tablespoons of cumin whole, dry coriander whole, 1.5 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon of black whole peppers, 5 or 6 whole cloves, and a generous stick of cassia. Now this might look like cinnamon, but it's a bit different. It's cassia bark, but if you don't have this, you can substitute with cinnamon. Right, so I've just got 4 cups of water in a large saucepan, boiling. And I'm going to add the whole masalas I just showed you in there. And 1 teaspoon of salt, or 1.5 because I love my salt. And the sliced onion and the whole garlic. So I'm now going to cover this and let it boil on its own without anything else for 10 minutes. So now it's boiled for like 10 minutes, and I'm going to add the chicken pieces, because don't forget I want to make the stock. And you don't boil the chicken for too long because it will start falling off the bones, and then we will have problems with our next stage. I'm going to put the heat up on this one. Cover this again, bring it to the boil, and then keep it boiling for 5 to 7 minutes, and then switch it off. I've got the ingredients ready for the next stage, and it's just like making a masala for a normal chicken curry, but I will take you through the stages. That's the 8 ounces grated onion, that's the tablespoon of crushed fresh garlic, tablespoon of crushed fresh ginger, salt, we'll use some of that, not all of it, and heaped teaspoon or tablespoon of red chili powder. We've got the oil, which is the first and foremost ingredient, and that does look like a lot, but again you need that to fry everything and cook the curry. Later on you may have the opportunity to remove off the excess and discard it. And of course you're welcome to use olive oil if you would like to go for the healthy option. There's no difference in the taste. And then that's the crushed tomatoes, fresh crushed tomatoes, ready for the next stage. Right, the 5 minutes is up now. We've been boiling it. I'm going to switch it off. Be very careful, it's steaming hot. And then gently remove 1 piece of chicken at a time into your dish. So I'm going to give you an estimate for 2 mugs of rice. So this is pre-soaked rice and drained for the next stage. So I usually soak my rice for 2 hours or more in warm water once you give it a couple of washes. This is a stock we made from the chicken. It's now sieved and measured out. So for 2 mugs of rice, you need 3 mugs of stock and a couple of tablespoons of whole cumin. So now this is just finalizing the rice stage. So add it in the oil into the pan. Again, you can use olive oil. And for 2 mugs of rice, I would suggest you use at least 6 tablespoons of oil. You can reduce if you like, but the rice won't be as fluffy and it might stick together. So you brown the onions. Once they're sizzling and brown, you add the whole cumin. And just wait for a couple of seconds while the cumin is also fried with the oil and the onions. You then add the measured amount of the stock, and we call this yakhni in Punjabi and Urdu. You wait for that to come to the boil. That'll take a couple of minutes. The stock is now boiling, so I'm adding in the drained rice that we soaked earlier. So just give it one good stir. With the rice, if you keep stirring it, you'll break it. Then cook it covered. Okay, so now I'm just doing the actual masala for the chicken while the rice is cooking over there at the back. And the rice is now on low for the final few stages. So heat the oil. Then add the grated onion. And stir it to brown it. This will take 5 to 6 minutes to get to the right stage. Okay, so we've almost browned the onions. You don't want it too brown and it burns really quickly because it's grated, so put it on low heat. Add the ginger and garlic paste, 1 tablespoon each. Mix it in. Again, let it sizzle with the onion for a couple of minutes. Then add the red chilies, powder, and salt. Now the rice has got some salt, but we need to salt the gravy for the chicken. Mix it again once, let it cook. Put the heat up. Then add the crushed tomatoes. You can grate them or crush them or very finely chop them. I use grated tomatoes in this, or blended tomato really, because you want the masala to be assimilated all together. So then give it one good mix. So that everything is now properly mixed together. Turn the heat down to low. And cook it covered, but do check it. So we'll probably cook it for about 8 to 10 minutes. But you might have to stir again to check, and you might want to add a couple of tablespoons of water if it starts sticking to the bottom. Okay, this is my very able assistant today. He's really helped me to cut everything. As you can see, he's now slicing the parboiled chicken into little chunks. There we go. This is all what he prepared earlier. Arshad bhai, say hello to the camera.
Hello.
Alright. So if you open this now, be careful, it's a bit hot. If you look at the masala, it's kind of coming together and the oil has started seeping out, which, as you know from my website, it's called the bun stage, and that's when you know that you can add the diced chicken. Once again, just make sure you coat all of the chicken pieces properly with all of the masala, because don't forget it's parboiled chicken, so it still needs to cook right through with the masala, and it will cook really quickly now because it's got no bones on it. So if you just put the heat down and cover it, you'll need to cook it for between 10 and 15 minutes, and don't forget to stir it every 5 minutes. If you find that it's sticking to the bottom, just add 2 or 3 tablespoons of water and then carry on with the bun stage. But I would suggest you don't stir it too much because you'll start breaking the chicken into small pieces. Now, if you look at this, it's cooking. It's kind of sticking at the bottom a little bit, so if you feel it's burning, add some water. I think we're okay for now. So, just for the last 4 or 5 minutes now, again, just covering it. And if your rice don't look as nice as mine, it's only because I've got years more experience than you. So keep trying, use the measured amount of water, and try and cook the last few minutes in the oven for best results. And you'll get there in a few attempts. Okay, that's the rice. And next is the chicken. As you can see now, it's all steaming hot, cooked, and ready to be served for the meal. So put that on the top. Then pour a garland of yogurt. This is about 2 cups of yogurt. And I've added salt and pepper, and I do like to add a little bit of fresh garlic. That's optional. And then sprinkle some coriander as a garland as well. You can do the coriander before and the yogurt after, or the other way around, but I think I like to see the whole garland completed and a little bit of the coriander falling into the yogurt. And there we have the Shahjehani Pilao.